Assalamu alaikum. I am not a video or a social media person, to be quite honest with you. Don't like to come in front of the camera. But this is such a dire time for the people of our people that I feel that we all must talk any way we can to affect the outcome in Bangladesh. We must all do our best to make sure we create the awareness all over the world, so that we can save Bangladesh, because it is the way things are going. This country is going to be completely destroyed, and it will take decades for it to recover from this damage that has been done to this country. I haven't slept perhaps for a week now, and I guess it's typical of most of us who are living outside the country. And if you love the country, you cannot not feel this way. So we're all feeling the pain, and in absence of information, we get disinformation, fabrication, and propaganda, and it's not good. It's not good for anybody. And I think it's so dangerous that the nation could easily fall into a civil war. If I was in Bangladesh, if my son was killed, I know what I would do. Yeah, I know I would do. For every single child, 1,000 must suffer. 1,000 have to pay for this price. This is not acceptable. This is really not acceptable in any society. I mean, to be honest, I cannot recollect any event in anywhere in the world which resembles, which is like what is happening now in Bangladesh. And the only place I can think of is Israel, in Gaza. But that's like a colonial force occupying another land. And even then they have to justify whenever a massacre happens. They go all over the place to even try to justify. Here, there is not even a justification. You have hundreds of people shot point blank. That basically shot point blank. And honestly, I can't explain how angry it makes me feel. Luckily, we're Muslim, so we have got sabr, which is a great virtue in Islam. If we didn't have that, I don't know what I would do. Because last night, I woke up in the middle of the night and I was dreaming, basically putting a petrol on a police. I was burning a police. And I woke up and I'm thinking, what the hell is wrong with me? I woke up and thinking something is wrong with me, because I don't feel anger like that I will be able to ever, because Islam does not allow it. It does not allow you to take your vengeance on somebody in this way. But of course, a subconscious part of me was feeling that way. I could burn someone alive. Now think, I haven't lost anybody. Now think about a mother, a sister, a father lost their son or a daughter. How would they feel? How would they feel? And there's thousands of them now. Yeah? There's thousands of them. Now, if that sparks, and think about that, every single family who lost somebody have hundreds of families. And now, if just forget about other people, if they just rise up and start killing security services, police, BGB, whatever you find them, you just burn them alive. You go to their houses, you burn them. Because if you lose someone you love like this, you're not thinking straight. You'll do stupid things, right? What if they do that? What happens to the country then? What happens? I remember when we were kids, we used to go, and sometimes we used to find on the ground, like old ground, and like bones pop up, the clothes pop up of the dead bodies of the people who were killed during our civil war in 1971, and they were not buried properly. They just, because they were traitors, or some of them were not traitors, they were treated as traitors. They were slaughtered, and there were mass graves all over the country. So we used to play in a ground like that, and sometimes we used to find them, and then we used to come to talk to I used to talk to my mom, I remember. And then my mom used to tell me some more stories, which is really, my mom said, look, we were looking on our window and we could see these people are shot, point blank, put them into the hole and been buried. And then for years, nobody went there. Yeah? But just imagine, Bengalis are capable of that. They did it before. And they will do it again, I'm telling you. Because it's a nation. Bengals are a nation. It's a very pride nation. You can't suppress them. The British couldn't. Who rise up against the British? It was the Bengals. And a lot of the intellectuals from the old subcontinent come from the Bengals. These are very spiritually driven people. They're very emotional. You don't suppress them that easily. The only reason this particular government in Bangladesh managed to do this for a decade now, just over a decade, is because of the international politics. Post September 11, post 9/11, there was a thing about basically just other the Muslims. So you vilify Islam, you vilify Muslim. And what is so sad, that this demonic narrative is picked up by the nations where 90% of the populations are Muslim. This is beyond me. How can this happen in Bangladesh? But it's always other the Muslims, yeah? Or they're the terrorists. And you can see now all over the world, it's failed. That narrative doesn't work anymore. It's a joke. And they can see the disaster all over the Middle East. What happened? What happened to all these terrorists? Who created all these terrorists? Is this colonial thugs who destroyed the whole world by dividing people? They created this narrative to neutralize the threat of Islam. They know how powerful Islam is as an ideology. They know, yeah, that Muslims are not a population you can suppress because they've got Deen of Allah in their heart. Because they've got Deen of Allah in their heart. They don't fear anybody. And that is a threat. That is a threat to every single colonial oppressive ideologies, because that is what Islam gives you. Of course, I don't want to really mix it up with Islam and stuff here, but it's a fact. The majority of the people in Bangladesh are Muslim. They don't fear death. They would not fear death. Yeah? But of course, what the government has done, they have bought basically any society is run by a layer of civil service, right? Your armies, your the civil service sector, has been bought or has been compromised. Its ethics has been compromised. So all the jobs are given to this dictator, and of course, as a result, they control the country. So whenever the dictator wants to kill anybody, she has got a bunch of terrorists who will go and kill them for her, yeah. And once you control that layer, then of course you could do that. But I think even that, this I wouldn't even call it a government, this mafia would not be able to do. The only reason they managed to do that is because of the geo-international politics, and she used that quite successfully. Because once you brand them as a Islamist terrorist, you've got a green pass, right? This is what's happened, but it doesn't wash anymore. It doesn't wash anymore. Yeah, I fought all my life in the West against this racism, this narrative. In my youth, I've joined different organization because I felt so angry, and then I've realized, you know what? Most of this organization, they all run badly. The narrative is always reactive. It's always reactive, and it doesn't work like that. You really have to win the hearts and minds. You have to change the narratives, and hopefully we are doing that. In the West, we are doing that. We're changing the narratives. So every single person works with me, knows I'm a Muslim. So of course I am the ambassador for Islam to them. And they say, you know what? These guys are not that bad after all. Yeah. But they will only know that once they know you. So unless you are able to do that, you are able to be the ambassador for the Muslims, then that narrative, they will be able to play that. And I think it's changed in the West because Muslims are very successful. They're good people. They're doing well. They're professionals. They're academics. They run the country. They run so much of the West. Bengalis are in fantastic positions. Very successful businessmen. Yeah? And people can see that. So that narrative doesn't work anymore. Right? So I think this is where the downfall of this. I mean, there are many other reasons, but this is not going to wash anymore, especially in the West. Now, of course, for a lot of country, West doesn't matter. For a Bangladesh, West is critical. Without the West, it just wouldn't survive. Financially, it wouldn't survive because we are not self-sufficient. If we were, it would be a different story. If we have some allies, yeah, but we've got an ally, India. I mean, they're not. Let's face it, yeah, they still dump on they don't have toilets in some part of India. So yes, it is a big power, big nation, but it's still driven by poverty. Yeah, so it's not somebody who can financially save Bangladesh. It's not going to happen anyway. Plus, it's run by a group of thugs. Yeah, by BJP. It's a group of thugs. These are not human beings. Yeah, they are inhuman monsters. Yeah. So let's not even go there. So I think this is where the miscalculation of the government comes from. It's not going to happen. I can see. I mean, I invest so much money in Bangladesh. I send so much. I believe in the idea of empowering the youths of Bangladesh, give them as much work as possible, especially in the tech sector, in the IT sector, rather than employing people from India and Eastern Europe. I love the fact that I can give this job to the Bengali kids. They're brighter than anything I've seen, especially after this student protest. Oh my God, I don't think there's anywhere in the world you find this grade of students. They're geniuses. The way they talk, the way they articulate their cause. I mean, I say I feel so proud that these kids. I mean, I've got kids of my own. They're grown up here. I compare them with these kids. I mean, they are in a different league. So this nation will be a top nation. Bangladesh will be a top nation in the world. I've got no doubt about it. But of course, they have to go through this And it's in their DNA. And I know they will. They will do it. It's only a matter of time. The reason I was saying that I invest so much money, and I'm not going to do that anymore. And everybody I know will not do it anymore. So right now, our split, I believe, is about 50-50 between export and the remittance. So if your remittance stops, how does a country survive? Yeah. Of course, this government can get their mafia to all the money they've laundered all over the world to bring them all back. Would they bring all them back? Of course not, because they've stored all this money to create a safe haven for them, right? And it's not safe haven anymore, so they will run. They will run away. People will be massacring them in the street. I'm telling you, yeah. What they have done in Bangladesh. One thing should ring a bell to you. If you can work free, if you can walk free in a country where you were born, without a security presence from police or from RAB, whatever, or the fear what people might do to you, mate, you've got a problem, right? You've got a problem. And people will, there will be atrocities all over Bangladesh. There will be. And of course, as a Muslim, you don't want that. You don't want that kind of carnage, because that is also not very good look for the country. It's really not very good. What happens? You start going to all the houses of this dog kutta legs and all these people. You go and burn their houses down, and you kill them on the streets. Does that look good? Of course not. It looks awful. Then you are as bad as them. So you don't do that. So the question is, how do you manage this? In any situation, in a war situation, there is something called pressure valves. So people are angry, they're excited, and they are revolutionary. So you have to release the pressure. There's a mechanism of releasing this pressure, and then use that energy to do something positive for the nation. Yeah. Now, the problem is that we haven't got that in Bangladesh. I see so many of these influencers all over. Everybody have got an agenda. All the Bengalis, of course, there are some really, really wonderful people doing a lot of really good job. They don't want anything. Yeah, there's one particular brother I saw. He does a really wonderful. I think he doesn't do it for money. You can see out of fame. He genuinely is to the cause, and he's been arrested and probably been tortured and drugged. Yeah, and my heart breaks for him. I wanted to help his family and stuff, but of course I do not know anything, right? And I think this is what I think it needs doing now, because it's going to change fundamentally. There will be a shift, seismic shift in Bangladesh. It's going to happen, yeah. And then they will run away. All these thugs, all these murderers, they will run away. They will run from the country. It might take a year or so. They will run from the country. But you don't want an anarchy. That is what it is. You don't want an anarchy in the country. You don't. And you don't want to destroy the nation so the foreign investors go out of the country. They don't give any exports to Bangladesh. That is disastrous. It's disastrous for anyone who's going to be responsible, because it's not the end of the country. It's not, because Bangladesh will survive, and it has to build those damage reputation once again. So the less you damage the nation, better it is. But that is why you need the leadership. Leadership is so important. And of course, this is what this dictator did, systematically destroy the leadership. That's what they've done. They've done quite successfully. But that is not to say that you can't build a leadership. But you got to be united. This is where Bengalis are so bad. Everybody wants power. This ministry, that ministry, everybody wants at it. Everybody does something. There is an agenda. That's what they're doing it. But if you're genuinely united, you could create a shadow government. You can do it in overseas, in a foreign land. Create a shadow government. Run it so that with all the policies, everything in place, so that when it happens, when the country changes power, that group of people can go and take over the country and be the technocrats. These are technocrats of the nation. because you need that. Initially, you need that to be able to stabilize the country, put everything on order, civil service, everything on order, and then once it's ready, you can have a democracy. Bangladesh is not ready for democracy. Let's face it. I have got a whole I've got different ideas about what has democracy achieved, to be honest with you. Yeah, but that's altogether a completely different topic. Yeah, so I honestly don't think we are ready for democracy yet. First of all, we need a proper constitution. Any constitution that allows this to happen in Bangladesh is not fit for purpose. So of course, we got to change the constitution. That number one, you have to do that, and then it's about just bring back a civil society that is stable, and then when there's an environment for democracy, we can have that democracy. You just look at India. I believe India has got a very good democracy. Even that democracy produces thug like Modi, thug like BJP. That is the fault of democracy. Yeah. So if you don't have a system where even Modi, he controls the layer of society in India. He controls that, and he is persecuting people. But that democracy will allow that, and I wouldn't even talk about the West, even worse in the West. India has got a good, solid democracy. Even that can be penetrated. So these are the problem, and we are fortunate if we can reshape the country now, but shape it in a way so that you can learn from all the mistakes from all over the world, all the democracies, why things happen, change the constitution, make it fit for this century. And then I will say, just forget about your BMP, all this crappy 100 year or so political party. Dump them. I will say the young generation, rise up. You do your own politics. Yeah, you don't have to. You just start a new political revolution. Yeah, get rid of all these ancient idiots. They're not relevant anymore. They're not. Yeah, I've got one idiot in London here. When he talks, it makes you sleep. Yeah, what's the freaking point? Yeah, you need charismatic leaders. You need charismatic leaders. You need people who are fit for this century. You got to be young. We are old. Our days are gone. So young people have to come in with new ideas, change the country. But start working on it. Start working on it, because time is near, very near. I'm saying that, yes, we are sad, we are hurt, but I promise you, you'll see very soon. You will see change in Bangladesh, because if we stop paying the money, sending the money, which we all are, we are not going to send any money, right? Economy is going to collapse. People are not going to get paid, right? And then government, they will run away. They will just run away. It's a fact of life. This is going to happen. So it will change. The question is, when it changes, who takes over? One mafia goes, you don't want another mafia to come in and destroy the country. You don't want that. You want a country which is led by people who care about this nation. They're not for money. So I wouldn't allow anybody. Yeah, that should be, I think, some sort of due diligence. You do it before, that you only pick up people who are not driven by money or wealth. Yeah, and nobody should be allowed to go overseas. Nobody should be allowed to have access overseas. There should be some sort of restrictions. Anybody who comes into politics or the ruling in the country, you're not allowed to do certain things. Like, for example, treatment. You can't go to overseas for treatment. You build your health sector first. You invest in your health sector, your utilities. So the life you want, make sure everybody in the country has it. You need that kind of change. It sounds like socialism, but to be honest with you, that's what you will need. For Bangladesh, that's what you will need. Yeah? You don't want to layer like a collapsed system in the West. They're not something you can look up to. It's a disaster. You look at the poverty. We are in the UK. Look at the poverty here. Food bank here. People can't afford. And there's a layer of billionaires, right? You don't want that. You don't want that in Bangladesh. Or any civilized country should not run like that. So I think I would like people to be positive. Think about the future. What happens after the storm, after the tsunami? The change got to take place. The question is, what is that change going to be? That's your job. Assalamu alaikum.